You are shocked! Welcome to Prolix. Oh, you haven't watched the TV series. You are not familiar with the awesome Fist of the North Star theme tune.
No, no, although the music, I have to say, across all the versions I've watched so far has been top notch, like 80s general kind of like rocky kind of
You need to hear the
hair metal kind of sounding
you
stuff.
need to hear the 80s TV series theme tune. You will
Yeah,
be
okay.
denim heaven.
Nice. Um,
Um, yes, so we are talking Hokuto no Ken or Fist of the North Star. Um,
a better title than the literal Fist of the Big Dipper, which somehow doesn't sound as cool.
no, 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 it's true. So, yeah, so Fist of the North Star. So started off apparently started off as a couple of one-shot
Yeah.
strips in Fresh Jump magazine, which I'm not familiar
Okay.
with,
Nope.
in 1983, and then quickly later the same year became a big deal in Shonen Jump magazine,
Hmm.
um, all the way through to 88, I think, right? It was quite a rather a long-running series. And I mean, yeah, you speak to Japanese people of a certain demographic. I mean,
Yeah.
Hokuto no Ken it's one of the big ones. It's one of the big ones.
Yes, I remember students, male students, and sometimes female students asking me like what the English translation for his famous "Oh my" whatever the fuck it is,
Oh, right, right. Oh, Momo Shinderu. Yeah,
yes, catchphrase
yeah.
was, and they were always tickled when I told them it was "You're already dead." For some reason, they
Yes.
they really quite liked
Yeah.
that.
Oh, it does sound cool in English as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, yeah, no, definitely you're right. The whole time I was there, in fact, I think that my old mate Andrew WK might have been involved in writing a song for either Fist of the Blue Star or Fist of the North Star for a pachinko uh,
Ah,
game that
yes.
came out while I was there. I think maybe Marty Friedman, the
A
curly
pachinko
hair.
machine, which I think I can be seen playing in an online promotional video for pachinko that I
It's
made,
a
which is massively
small,
embarrassing.
it's a
Yes,
small world,
yes,
Jackson Brown or whatever the fuck your name was.
yes, that's right. I think it was a Fist of the North Star machine I was playing. And there was definitely one in the place we were in.
Mhm.
But again, pachinko, it doesn't matter what the machine is, it's still boring as fuck.
Oh yes,
Um,
yes, indeed.
yeah.
Good place to get secondhand, smoke cancer though.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really got, but I kind of maybe kind of get it on an existential level. It's a place where you go and to think things over, and you don't need to do anything too strenuous. You just kind of give yourself over to the metallic ping of the balls and loud noises and sit there.
Def
Um,
Definitely feels like to kill hours and
there's
days.
a Zen quality to it, I think.
Hmm.
But I'll be fucked if I'll ever go and do that. That's not my thing.
It's not your cup of Zen.
No,
Um, so back
even though I
to
have promoted it.
back to Fist of the North Star.
Yes.
So uh, our artist is also basically the one who started off before they bring in the writer, right?
Tetsuhara,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, there's some comic he did before called like, is it called the new, no, the Iron Don Quixote or something like that?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
which I'm not
Apparently,
familiar with,
and I don't think it was particularly successful. I think it was.
but I think there's something that was written for that is now retroactively been put into the Ultimate Edition, which we're going to be talking about. Something along
Right.
those lines, right? Yes, and then of course written by Bronson,
Yes.
Yoshiyuki Okamura. And so previously we have spoken Violence Jack.
Yes, yes, which this is very clearly partially inspired by, I
Yes,
think.
so that would have come out in the so I think some people there's a number of things here which people get the wrong way around because they're thinking of the anime adaptations, right? So one
Right.
thing would be that they would think that um Akira might have been playing from Fist of the North Star's book, except of course, the Akira comic was started publishing in 82 and was very much an influence on Fist of the North Star.
Yes, yes.
Violence Jack, the 70s, the OVA didn't come out until the 80s, and definitely would have come out because of the
Because
success
of
of
it's the
Fist of the
yeah,
North
no
Star.
question. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there's a lot of these kind of back and
Mm,
forths feeding back into
yes.
each other. But yeah,
And
it's
I would say
basically Violence Jack plus Akira plus Mad Max.
yes, yeah, Mad. There's no getting away from the Mad Max. In fact, it's
Yes.
almost astonishing in the early chapters. Like, I noticed that when they finally came to animate, and this is a question for the TV series, did they try to adjust the costuming a little bit? Because in the comics, he's virtually wearing Mad
Yeah,
Max's
no, there's a lot of that in the
MSP
TV series as well.
uh, costume. Okay.
And also, um, I think you should, I mean, it's difficult. So the mythology of, the North Star and the Southern Star
Mhm.
constellations and how they relate to martial arts and pressure points and stuff like that as well. That that does, even though it's, clearly bollocks on a
Mm,
large scale, it does
yes.
have a sort of, I mean, in the same way as Dragon Ball has
Yes.
some
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
water margin
Hmm.
stuff in there, or
Yeah.
Suikoden as it's known in Japan. There's definitely a Suikoden, the heroes of the water margin is very much a backdrop for the
Yes.
massive pumped up heroes of
Mhm.
Fist of the North Star, right?
So here's a question. So Dragon Ball, when it like what are Dragon Ball's dates? Does it come
I
out
think that
before
I
or
think that
after?
comic comes out a little later. Is that mid to late
Okay.
80s, some
Okay.
78, something like 87 to 88, something like that.
I was thinking about this quite a bit as I was reading through this, wondering what is the Rosetta Stone or what is the like where does this begin this like is there like a ninja comic from the 60s or something like where this thing of like power leveling up and two dudes just like "Mrr," and like one guy's it bursts his flame and another guy's like "Mm," and then
Right,
shouting their moves like wave slashing
right,
star
right, right, right.
smasher like and back like that stuff because that stuff is in Lone Wolf and Cub to a certain degree. In Lone Wolf and Cub almost always a scene where they're facing
Yeah.
off and there's a third guy off in the distance being like "Ooh,
I think
he's a
this is similar
use
to when we were on the quest, when we were doing some
arboreal
stuff with Ninja,
ninjas
we were on the quest for the original where the ninja craze of the 80s
burrowing."
comes from. I think it's a similar thing, right? Where there's trickles throughout the years, and then for whatever reason it's a zeitgeist thing, right? And then all of a sudden the timing is right. Franco Nero is a ninja, everyone can be a ninja, right?
Right. Because
But
I'm
it
just
is a
saying,
good question. I do wonder if there were. This does seem to be, yeah, this does seem to be, like you said, it does seem to be because there's something, again, there's a reason there's so many Fist of the North Star video games as well, right? It's because
oh, it's
it,
perfect.
yeah,
Apparently, well, the original Double Dragon was supposed to be like they were so inspired that they just basically tried to create a Fist of the North Star video game without the name.
right.
Um, but because Naruto as well, I mean, like I think there's like this clear direct through line from Fist of the North Star to then I think to Dragon Ball, honestly, and then to Naruto. They're
Yes.
all kind of part of the same stream of like where.
Or it's the streams from like Suikoden running into Fist of the North Star and Dragon Ball, if you see what I mean.
Well,
I,
that's what I
I
want to go back
can't speak,
further.
I can't really speak much of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is one of those things that came along, at least outside Japan, came along after I was a little bit too old for it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know much about Dragon. I've attempted to try and get into it a little bit, but it seems a little bit skews child friendly,
To younger viewers for
which would
sure.
have been fine if I'd have got into it when I was small.
Mhm.
But now I don't know. It's and there's so fucking much of it, right? It's like trying
Yeah.
to get into Gundam or something. It's like,
Yes.
yeah. But
Okay.
yes.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I don't really know if we want to do. Basically, our main protagonist is Kenshiro,
Hmm.
a proponent of Hokuto no Shinken, and
Supposedly inspired by Bruce Lee, but honestly, but later in the stories, he looks more like slim-faced, huge Schwartz or not Schwarzenegger,
Stallone.
Stallone, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially when he's got the big Cobra glasses
yeah,
on.
yeah. He's
Like
definitely
that's
Stallone. We should also point out that across this comic as well, I can't think of any other comic that has cameos by surrogates for Mr. T,
yep.
John
Hulk Hogan.
Michael Thor,
Yeah, yeah.
David Niven,
Yep.
and Windsor Davis.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I spotted several others in
Oh,
there
I'm
for
sure
sure.
there are. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
of real
definitely.
life inspiration.
Ivan Drago. What's his face? Dolph Lundgren definitely appears
Yes,
uh,
yes.
for a big chunk. Like he's like a main character basically. And yeah, there's multiple other.
I was quite pleased because I think I posted to you and Darren because I've been the reason I chose this is because I've been watching the Fist of the North Star TV series,
Mhm.
which
So
runs about 142 episodes or something
how
altogether.
does that compare
And
in
the
terms of?
Windsor Davis character is in it.
Okay,
So I remember
awesome.
seeing him and I thought, fucking hell, there's an anime Windsor Davis.
So, I mean, I'm interested to know how that stacks up because obviously it's made for TV, so it can't be as violent as even say the 1986
It is a lot more
feature
violent
film.
than you might expect.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. No, the series is great. I'm only like
Really?
30 episodes in, so I got a way to go. But it's fucking great. I
Okay,
mean,
all right.
it's
Okay,
really good.
good.
No, it's massive because the thing is, it was problematic in Japan. The PTA were didn't like Fist of the North
Oh,
Star
okay.
at all.
Okay.
The way they kind of get around it is the blood is never red.
Ah,
It's
okay.
always like fluids of different colors, often white
Mm.
or whatever. But honestly, that doesn't make it any less grisly. There's
Violent?
still
Yeah.
things exploding left, right, and center. And so yeah, so we watched so as well as so the series, which ran from 84 to 88 across 152 episodes. It's funny, they say it's Fist of the North and Fist of the North 2, but the thing is,
Mhm.
the original 109 episodes finished, and then the next week, the
The
second
next
series of
series,
43.
yeah.
So it's just one
Yeah.
long thing, basically. Um, but then in 1986, midway through that run, they decided to do a film version. I think the reason was they were like, well, we want to do this with blood red blood, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but honestly, it didn't feel any more violent than the TV show, really.
Interesting.
Except it's all
Okay.
compressed into like 2 hours, right? So
Right. I mean, the animation is usually the feature films are slightly
little slicker. To be honest, a little
higher
too
quality.
slick for my
Okay.
liking.
Okay.
I did like the feature a great deal, but the thing with Fist of the North Star is and I fucking love Fist of the North Star. Let's just get
hmm
this out there, and I'm
Okay.
guessing you're the
All
same,
right.
right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
have I have certain issues maybe with the comics. I honestly think it's best in its animated form, in a way, and I'll talk
Well,
about
I'm really
why.
digging the TV series, I have to say. Too
Mhm.
early to tell yet if it manages to sustain it throughout, but so far it's mwah. Every episode is just fucking. It's like some kind of weird, kind of mutant, pumped up mini kung fu film. Like, oh,
Right.
like Ricky O or something like that. Like
Yeah. Well,
every
I think
fucking
Ricky O
episode.
is actually the probably the closest cinematic
Yes,
equivalent. Uh,
yes. But yeah, so the film comes out 86, and it's great and a huge hit in the UK.
right.
Massive hit for manga. I think it might have been the first big post Akira
hmm
anime on video hit in the UK. Everyone had Fist of the North Star and
hmm
Urun's Godochi, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
but it's funny, speaking of that, and you were talking about like Japanese friends asking you, how does you translate that? Or the
hmm
other thing that used to tickle that, because the thing is, yeah, it would, even though the film it was still basically aimed at teenagers, right?
Yes.
The fact that Fist of the North, a cartoon, is 18 rated in the UK.
hmm
Yeah, my Japanese friends either found that hilarious and adorable,
hmm
or just didn't believe me
Right.
that only adults were allowed to
Let's see.
watch Fist of the North Star is something they couldn't quite get their
hmm
heads around, right? Um,
It does seem like the target audience is definitely 12 to 13-year-old boys.
oh,
In that
for
respect,
sure.
it's funny how little fan service there
And
actually is.
middle-aged
Yes.
podcasters who've never
There's
really grown up.
no, exactly. But like there's very little fan service.
Mm.
in like the film. Like I think there's one kind of scene maybe of
Yes,
that are
yes.
kind of the nipples are
And you
sort of
don't
like
want it
obscured.
because it's
No,
usually the little girl, isn't it, who has the like the panty flashes or something, and you're like,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, thank you.
yeah. No, and
But
so
then
it's so
Dragon Ball's like that as well, though, right? The
yes,
uncut Dragon Ball has that creepy old dude following a
yes,
prepubescent girl around to look up her skirt, and
yes.
it
Yeah, that's yeah.
obviously cut out the US version, right?
Yes. Um in all the pee and stuff as well. It's like oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that's too
Right.
sketchy for American audiences. But no, it did strike me as being at a certain point. It was like, wow, this is Tom of Finland level homoerotic as well.
Mm,
Just like these like endless scenes of shirtless dudes with their rippling six packs just pounding each other in the face as a sort of substitute for just
yes.
buggery.
We should
It's
say as
great.
well that we are talking specifically about the 16 volume Ultimate
Ultimate.
Edition
Yeah.
put down by Tokuma Shoten in Scanlation. It has been previously officially translated. Viz did it for a while. Someone
Hmm.
I'd never heard of before was called Gustoon. I wasn't familiar with them, but they did it. But I think they are in the midst now of doing a proper English
That would
translation of
make
the whole
sense.
run, apparently, I've heard.
Because I think a lot of Berserk has been a huge success, right,
Right.
in the West, and a lot of people are interested because the guy who created Berserk
Yes.
um, has basically said, "Yeah,
Yes.
I love this is the North Star
I've
and wanted."
yet to get into Berserk, but I'm guessing I'm gonna love it.
I think we will just
We'll
do it on
probably do
a
it. Yeah,
show
yeah,
a few shows from now. Yeah.
yeah. But I do feel as if it's worth pointing out because okay, so so far so scraping the mattress off the bed, right? And
Hmm.
it's true that's part of it, but I think there's more to it than that. I would say this actually this raises the bar to the level of it's not just for the teenage, and this is proper myth making. I think
Yes.
like
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
pulling like all even all the concept. There's something about it that really feels like Kenshiro can sometimes be like a Odysseus like figure or something like that, or
I
even some character like
you're right.
Oedipus or something, right? Like it's
Yes.
proper like oh, high opera fucking.
Yes. Yes.
It
Yes.
works. I think it works best as a comic or a TV series for me, just because all that aside, it is massively repetitive, but it's
Mhm.
a joke I like to hear, so I don't mind.
Yes.
But it
Yes.
is
Yeah.
best done in increments, and the two
Yes.
hour movie is a bit much for one sitting, I think.
Right. Okay.
I don't know how you felt about that.
No, and I probably watched it over two nights anyway. So yeah, I probably didn't watch it in one go.
Right.
But you're in fact because I kept coming back to Cuchulainn, right, which is the
Mm,
model for Splain, you know, in a way, and and it definitely like like mountains of corpses and just this
yeah.
like
There's a lot of slaying. There's a lot of
huge,
slaying.
yeah,
Do we
huge
know
dude.
anything? I certainly don't think there was any cribbing going on. I think it's just again, it's just two people, separate people, more than two, being influenced by, but you know, but I'm wondering if Pat Mills or anyone like that um were at all vague. Like, did anyone ever say to them like, there's some dudes in Japan doing something very slaney. Like they probably
Yes.
wouldn't have had an opportunity to read it, but do you think they ever got clued
I
into stuff like this
I
back in
do
the day?
think I'm surprised sometimes by how much like people like how in the know Western comic creators were about what was going on in Japan. Far more than the common comics fan. I think creators did know, and I think they
Right.
were often.
I suppose it only takes, yeah, because a lot of those are tight knit circles of friends as well as creators, right? So it only takes one person to go on holiday, come back
Yep.
with a suitcase of, look what I found. And,
Yes.
they're passing them around the office. Because Fist of the North, I was thinking about you were saying about Kulhala and Slain, but I was thinking this would have slotted in so nicely into the pages of 2000 AD, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean, the post-apocalyptic setting alone, right? You know,
Yeah,
the
maybe
gang.
even Metal Alant a little bit as well.
And speaking of like of like the weird ways in which things that influence things that influence the things that influence them back.
Mm.
I'm convinced that Mad Max Fury Road is equally inspired as much by his own Mad Max films as it is by Fist of the North Star.
Do you think?
Um, right down to the like the old ladies with the little like taking care of the seeds, like I'm very convinced, and I know that Miller knew all about. He's very interested in Japanese.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out at all, and certainly it's
Well, how
certainly
could he not? I mean, they drew Kenshiro to look to be wearing Mad Max's clothes. He
yeah.
must have known.
Oh
He
no,
must have
obviously that
seen.
way. Yeah, no, I mean, what I mean is, on the one hand, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. On the other hand, though, there's that kind of slight thing within the parameters of that post-nuke thing. There's a certain things everyone's going to come up again on their own, right? There'll
Sure,
be, yeah,
but I
the
don't. I
idea of rebuilding and therefore planting some seeds.
Yeah, but I feel like the kind of the adoption, like the pushing further and further into the kind of like the weird mutants and the kind of professional wrestling stuff that starts to happen in the Road Warrior, like the Lord Humongous. I think like that the whatever, not the Toe Cutter, what's his name? Immortan Joe in
Right.
Fury Road feels almost more Fist of the North Star than he actually does
Yeah,
feel Mad Max.
but then again, don't forget, again, that could have been the of influences going on.
I'm glad
Could
you
be,
did that.
like while Bronson and Tetsuo Hara they're writing this thing, they might have a rare night off. I don't think they had much, but they might have had a rare night off, gone down the video shop and got, one of those Joe D'Amato post
Hmm.
things or
Oh
something like that.
yeah,
I could have seen it, and then the
yeah,
next day, because it's a medium that you can immediately react to, right?
yes, oh
Comic.
yeah, yeah.
So you can literally see something and then write it in like 5 minutes after you've just seen it, right?
Yes.
And
And that's what's interesting. So the way it was written is, and it is to some degree, some Japanese, I mean, it's done on like you've got like a week turnaround, right? For like, I mean, like that's the thing. Like, when you see, I
was he
mean,
doing like I read 20 pages a week, I think.
yes,
Tatsuhara.
yes, yeah. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, I can't, and I've tried to draw
Yeah,
comics in my
yeah.
life, and just
Well, I
that.
have no frame of reference in terms of how long it takes to write a page, but even to me as a layman, that sounds punishing.
No, it is crazy, and it is why at times across, and he talks about this in the essays at the end of the final volume of the workload and how he himself he says there are pieces of it that I'm not particularly happy with because I was under such intense pressure, or he might have been asked to do something else, like he was also doing something else that week where he was producing pages for something else, right? So he was just
Yes, I feel
totally.
that towards the end. I suppose we should get into this. Is that I feel this towards. So overall, I of the 18 volume
Mhm.
version, I would say the first 10 volumes are essential, and then it
Yeah, the
starts.
story of the story of the brothers, right? The
Yeah,
story of Rao,
yeah,
the
and then it
huge.
starts like later on when you get in like pirates and
Yep. And
that dark.
they go to another world that maybe
Yeah,
China. I don't know even know where that is.
yeah, that's I would say less like essential, but then again, it's still filled
Still
with
pretty
fucking
fun.
great stuff.
It's still
And you have to
fun.
get to the last volume to get the guy with the big fucking drill. Um,
Yes.
so it's all definitely worth reading, but yeah, it certainly peaks just after midway through the 18 volumes. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I would say so.
Right. But what I was going to say is, in terms of you saying with it, I did notice towards the end there's some passages where it gets kind of strangely like some panels are like, whoa, really pared
Yeah.
down, and there's
Yeah.
no background detail at all.
Hmm.
But then they're kind of counteracted by suddenly there's something more elaborate than would have been in the earlier ones.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if they decided at a certain point to do it that way. Like, well, let's concentrate on these
Splash panels, what they call
tentpole
them.
kind of, yeah. And
Yes.
some of them might have been in color, maybe as well, possibly.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we'll skimp on these, whereas the
Hmm.
earlier ones are more uniformly
Yeah. And
detailed.
every now and again, I hit a couple of chapters where I was like, "Ooh, you can see that the work is suffering, and it's no fault of. I mean, he was killing himself to create the thing,
Right.
right? It's easy to write 20 pages of manga. It's very difficult to draw 20 pages of manga.
Right.
So Bronson had a much easier job than Hara did, right?
Yeah. Here's a quick little aside, because this is
Mhm.
always something I'm interested in, whether it's just people working uncredited or whether artists and writers pull double duty. But like for instance, in American comics, you
Yes.
all and British comics as well, you'll always get, the little shield on 2000.
Credit,
You'll
yes.
get, script, art, and then you'll get inking and words, right? Sometimes the same
In
thing.
British comics, often the penciling and inking is the same person.
But you'll get like
But in
someone
American comics,
specifically writes the bubbles as well, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
I never see credits for that stuff in Japanese comics. It's either one person doing everything or split writer artist. You never
yeah.
get credits for. Do you think because they're doing it uncredited, or do you have any insight into this, or is it like the artists are writing as well, or
Well, I mean, that's a good question about the lettering. I'm not sure, but he does talk about in this that he really resisted putting together a studio. But a lot of like, I mean, famously, the guy who does Golgo 13, right? He had a studio of artists
yes,
that he pretty much draws Golgo's face, and like, and he roughs everything in. But like, all the guns are drawn by the gun guy, and the helicopters are drawn by the helicopter guy, and so
yeah.
that
Well,
that
yeah, it goes back to Osamu Tezuka, right? And Ishinomori and all these people had people working under them
Yeah,
to
yeah. And
reach
people
ahead.
whose job is just to rule out the like the panels, and like make sure they were
Yeah,
all straight, clean up. But I don't know. He seems to. It sounds like he did virtually all of it himself from the
right.
art side of things. Which again, maybe why he started to
Which
have
always
struggles.
makes more sense. I always found it weird that there was someone. I understand the idea of division of labor, but just in terms of the practicality of it, I've always wondered that must like because there has to be a big conversation between the person doing the word bubbles and the art to know where it's going to go and what it's going to obfuscate. And so it just made more it's more work, but just in terms
Mhm.
of it all made more sense that one person would decide all that because they know what the panel is
Yes.
going to be.
Yeah. Um,
I suppose it depends how you work, if you're drawing in or if you're. I suppose some people must have just layered world bubbles on top of things and then.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's definitely what was done. And if you look at British comics and American comics, you'll see where they've literally been pasted
right.
in.
But
So the
these seem
artist,
more like drawn in sometimes when you see them in the original. Obviously not the Scarlet, but when you see them, the original, when you see like pick up Shonen Jump or something,
yeah.
that stuff just seems baked in, doesn't it, to the artwork often?
Yeah. So again, possibly, I mean, Jesus, though,
Because
what
because
what
there's
a job.
because the thing you get, and I know you get it in British and American comics as well, but you don't get it anywhere near the same level of onomatopoeia.
No, no. Yeah, this. I
One
think you're
is
right. I think the sound effects
yes,
are
that's what I
probably
mean.
put in
Yeah,
by the are put in by the artists. Because
because there's a
they
hell of a
they
lot more of
work
them in
they
Japanese
work
comics.
within the art in a different way than
Yeah,
the speech bubbles do.
it's one of the
Um,
things you notice when you first start reading Japanese comics, isn't it? Is oh, whoa, 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 whoa,
yes, and
whoa. You're like, wow,
I
did the
think
Three Stooges write this? But
I
there's a
think
lot of noise,
yeah, no,
visual
definitely.
noise.
And I wonder, yeah, I'm not sure. Like in British comics, I think it may have been case by case, but in American comics, possibly the letterer did also do that, and it would have been laid in and cut out and pasted over the art.
Right. But
Um,
again, there would have been just a lot less of it as
yeah,
well.
yeah, definitely. There's not nearly as much. Yeah, every panel doesn't have multiple
Right.
noises going on in it.
Right.
Um, Little squelchy things maybe, but not too
Ah,
many noises.
yes.
But here's the thing about so Bronson talks really honestly about this, and this is kind of true, maybe also of 2000 AD, funnily enough, but not true of a lot of other comics, American comics, is that he wouldn't plan ahead. He deliberately wouldn't plan more than 2 issues ahead to
Mhm.
give the audience a chance to be like, nope, we don't like that direction, so that they could constantly be responding to audience feedback. But it does mean you can't actually really be writing to a goal or writing to an ending if
Right.
you're never thinking more than the next chapter or 2 chapters down the road. So there was no point at which they sat down and mapped out years in
No,
advance
no.
where all of this is going, right? It was
Which
always
makes
like,
sense because as you're reading it, when you get towards the end and like you get to some of the big bads, there's like this weird discrepancy where you're like, well, some of the big bads a long time ago were bigger and badder, so it doesn't have that
yeah,
incremental kind
totally.
of. But I
No,
don't care about that. It doesn't bother me
no.
because the other thing I think it's worth saying.
Although talking about big bads, I'm fascinated by the size differential
Oh
between
yes,
all the characters
oh
because like,
yes,
you got the kids who are about this big, and then you've got Ken, Shiro, and that group of people
yeah.
with this big. But
And
then
some
every now and
people are
again,
just
someone shows up
fucking
who's
yes.
like a
I
cyclopean,
love
like
it.
you know,
I love it. And yeah, so we should say as well, apart from all the highfalutin stuff in the mythology, and let's just get back to brass tacks. The other thing that's amazing, really, across these 18 and you're talking 300 pages a piece, right? Um,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
Do the math.
fucking
We
epic.
read we read a lot
It's a
of
fucking
Fist
epic.
of the North Star.
But
Yeah.
what's amazing about it is considering how much carnage is in it, and we are talking exploding heads, people getting arms ripped off, and fucking like,
Sliced into,
oh man, what's
you know.
amazing, and from the get-go, this doesn't slowly build, like almost within like the first few panels, there's whoa. What's amazing is after, so let's see, three, close close to 6,000 pages, right?
Mhm.
Um, is there's still the ability to shock and surprise. Like you've seen all, and then all of a sudden, you'll be in volume 15, 16, and something will happen, and you're like, ho, ho, ho! Like, I didn't expect that. There's so
Yeah.
many ways to slice and dice the human body,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you feel as if they're never running out of ways to
Hmm.
really gross you. That might seem like small beer,
It,
but
it is it
that's
is
that's
worth mentioning
impressive.
actually. So I mean, the secret to Kenshiro's like martial art is that he understands the pressure points in the human body and is able to kind of like while fighting people like punch them or touch them with his fingers
Yes,
and then cause them to have massive internal rupturing so their
yes,
head can
yes,
blow
yes.
up
It's
or
so
yeah.
good. If you've
It's
never seen any Fist of the North Star before, it's so good. The first time you see something, it's like, where have you been all my life? This is
it did beg the question of whether or not, and if there wasn't, why there wasn't some sort of pornographic version, right? Of the where it's you've already come. Um, like
Nick,
you
I
would
think you're the
think.
man to write this. I think you're the man.
I see. No, I
Yes.
just it seems like there would have been an erotic manga or an anime
It's often
or
the case if something seems like it should exist, that means you're the man to do
oh,
it.
shit.
I look forward
Damn it.
to I look forward to you losing your job, being a pariah in your community, but being a hero to fanboys everywhere for your
Uh-huh.
cock of the North Star.
Right.
So anyway, I don't want to run out of time before
Mm.
we discuss the certain things. And yes, we are aware as well as there are some live action films, and we will be
Mhm.
covering them in a
Yes.
special edition of Film Crack coming your way soon.
Mhm.
But I know you so after the initial TV series and then the film, and before, because we'll also be getting to that, there was a manga prequel called Fist of the Blue Sky,
Yeah.
which was also adapted into an anime, although apparently the anime is quite different and a little bit more of just a continuation of Fist of the North Star. But that's coming at you
Mhm.
soon as well. But the few things I wanted to talk about, because I know you watched some of them at least, so the interim stuff. So 2003, there's New Fist of the North Star OVA, right? There's three of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
And then in 2000, from 2005, there's the Fists of the North Star Legends of the Saviors, it's called, which
Yeah.
is like spin-offs. And there's three, I think there's three feature films
Yeah.
and two OVAs, right?
Yes.
Of those little cluster, what have you watched? Because I've watched none of that.
So I've watched the first chunk of the 2003 New Fist, and that's interesting because they're really experimenting at that point with CGI, right? They're like so
Okay.
a lot of the scenes of like people on motorbikes stuff like that, they're almost like cutscenes from a video game. They're a
Right.
bit jarring. but the actual action and the violence it's the most gory
Oh yeah.
version, like almost gut-wrenchingly disgusting.
Oh, this sounds good. Because I'd
Quite,
always stayed away for that very CGI
yeah, yeah.
reason.
But the sex, so it's yeah, there's an uncomfortable relationship between, but it's not there's not that much of it. It's more just for certain effects.
Right.
But then,
Is it a little bit comparable? Do you remember, or did you ever see, do you remember the old Golgo 13 OVA,
mm,
which was hand drawn, and then every now and again
yes,
those helicopter
yes,
scenes, the three.
just like that, just like
Ah,
that.
okay. In that
Yeah.
cause I can put up with that. If it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah, no, because
yeah.
it's mostly traditional cell animation,
Oh,
and as
that's
I said,
cool. That's
the
good.
violence is it's the mo of all the versions, it's the one that gets closest to putting across what was on the page
Oh,
in terms
nice.
of that,
I'm
like kind of
definitely
like,
watching that
oh
then.
my God. It almost gave me that feeling of like the first time I watched The Reanimator when I was like 15 or
Oh,
whatever,
okay.
and that feeling of like I can't believe they're showing this. I can't believe that they're pushing that
Right.
envelope that way. So that's fun. Um, and then the 2006 one, so just a couple of years later, they come back and they do, yeah, and it's interesting. They've done away with most of the CGI stuff, but it's a bit more streamlined and slick looking. There's an attempt to make it look more like there's more line art in it. Um, but they pull back on the violence quite a bit. I think it's less violent in terms of
Oh,
bloody and
okay.
gory than even the 1986 feature film. So that was a bit of a surprise. But
Ooh, hiss.
but one thing it does have going for it, I guess, is actually they all have great music. That's one I enjoy all the music in all the versions. But it has so okay, also important about the new Fist of the North Star, the super gory one, is it's not based on the comics. It's based on a novel so it's
Right.
new material. It's not an
Right.
adaptation of the comics. It's a whole new story. So if you have read the comics and you want more of that world, that's one place to go. Whereas the 2006 version is a new adaptation of the comics, but what they've done is they've pulled certain characters. So like the first episode is kind of more based around Rao, the older brother
Right.
of Ken,
Each one
right?
is a specific character, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. And so in that way they've kind of taken because what becomes a very meandering story and there's lots of flat like at a certain point they'll be like, oh, you know what, let's fill in this gap and we'll flash back. But
Right.
this starts to kind of present it in more of a chronological way. So you actually it's more understandable, it's more digestible in some ways as a story. And they can amp up certain things. They can go, okay, we can
Right.
push
Right.
that.
Right. Right.
So it is good in its own right too.
Yeah. No, I'm sure I'm gonna get to it all in my own. At first, I have to get through the TV series. Only
Well,
another
you've made me quite
110
curious.
episodes to go.
You've made me quite curious because I do like the bite-sized nature of the like,
Oh
you know,
man, I always assumed you'd watched at least some of it. Oh no, the TV series. If you don't like it, I will tear out my own spine with my bare hands.
you'll scratch
Seriously.
your own eyeballs out. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, no, I will definitely. Anyway, we'll talk about how you found your copies of it later on and where I
Yes.
can
One
potentially.
thing I would really quickly, and I'm going to say goodbye now, Nick, for good, because I am actually going to have to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, did the feature version you watched, the 1986 one, did it
Mhm.
seem like a composite that every
Yes,
now and
it
yeah?
did.
What's all that
Yes.
about? I couldn't get to the bottom
Don't
of.
know. Don't know.
Okay, okay.
But I
Maybe
was
we'll
interested
figure it out
too.
by next time we talk some
Okay.
Hokuto stuff.
All right.
Okay,
All right. Take care, everyone.
bye.
You are already you're already dead.